Welcome back to another episode of my stories. And I hope the sound will be good. And I decided to film this in nature today, even though it's cold. But I have to pick my battles. And today's battle, I'd rather battle with the cold than battle with the intensity of what's going on right now in the society. So, those that are new, my name is Lumi, and those that are already subscribed, you already know what I'm about. I'm an advocate, and part of what I advocate for is nature. So sometimes it's always important for me to come here and enjoy the peacefulness of it before I go back into what is out there. And I'm still on this theme of division, which is the illusion of unity. And I'm not sure if you'll be able to see me though, but it doesn't matter. What really matters is that you're able to hear what I'm saying. And the trees are also able to participate in the video. I haven't released any video. I think the last video was 2 weeks ago. I'm supposed to try and be releasing every week, but I didn't get an opportunity in my creative space to get that done. So that's why I said today, I think I might just do this here. It doesn't matter. But so what's today's agenda? There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. The anxiety, the tension, the anger, the rage. There's a lot going on. There's also the joy, the blissfulness, the glimpses of clarity. Everything is all together in this whole experience of the human life. Currently now, we are dealing with a lot of things. Still in Minnesota, things are getting lighter here. But in the society, we're still facing this whole Epstein, or what is his name? Yeah, Jeffrey Epstein's case is the topic of the conversation now that everybody is talking about. Everybody seems to have an idea or have an opinion about it. And it's okay to do that. But again, I go back to my analogy, right? You can pick one side. You can focus on what's wrong, or try to focus on the solution. Create a solution to solve the problem rather than tear the problem down, which is the blaming or the shaming on the guilt, or solution oriented. Because the truth of the matter is, if you can identify there's a problem here, right? You can either beat the person that is involved and then we come with this division, or you try to find your own solution, learning from this experience and choosing to continue to focus on the solution, thereby allowing whoever is here, whatever is here, to see that there's an opportunity here for there to migrate into, and everybody becomes one, right? It's the dream. Even though this is something we're selling that is far-fetched, but leaders and visionaries have to do it, because this is how humanity evolves. If you go back 50 years ago, who could have thought we'll get to a point where we're having a conversation about humanoids, about robots? Who would thought that? But we're already seeing movies that were preparing us consciously for those type of things to appear in our psyche, right? Now it's here. It's become our reality. And now, for it to become our reality, is now becoming challenging to some people, because some people are losing their jobs from it, right? And that's just an example of growth, human evolution. So this Epstein case that you're seeing, what is just, to me, the only thing I can touch on there is what is bad, right? And you don't know what made people get to where they are to become or do those type of things. I tend to shy away from it. Maybe it speaks to maybe you can call it coward or whatever you want to call it. I just choose not to chastise these people, because you don't know what they are going through or how they were brought up for them to do those type of things. to hear some of the darkness and the depth of the evil that they are committing, to me, it's more than what they are doing than how did they get there? You get me? How did you get there? And I say that with a lot of caution, because I don't say that because I want to experience that. I say that because how are you comfortable with that with yourself? How are you comfortable with that to do to somebody else? And so, if you now find yourself judging them for what they are doing, right? To some extent, you have to be very careful to not tread on that path of becoming what you are standing against. Because those people got torn down to the point that they became this type of people that we are now against, or we believe that are evil, which is true. So that's just my own perspective, right? Like, how would you carry a child and say you want to sacrifice a child and drink blood, all of that stuff that people are saying they do, right? The golden question again is like, for you to be able to solve a problem, sometimes, yeah, you just look at it for what it is. But for me personally, one of my uniqueness is, how did you get there? There are some things that I've done in my own past that I'm still dealing with, that I'm very hard on myself on letting go of it. Then I can now not imagine somebody that is doing something different from what I did, that is totally like 500%. Like, so for example, if I'm eating meat, chicken, and a vegetarian is looking at me like, why are you eating meat or chicken? You're killing animals, right? The vegetarian is looking at me like, how did you get there? And me, I'm like, this is what I was born with. I was born, raised with eating meat, chicken, and cow, but doesn't mean that I'm evil, right? This is how I got there. So that's an example of my own journey. Like, okay, Lumi, how did you get there to, what else can I jump on? How did you get there to like partying with people, moving around with different people? How did you get there? To me, again, this is what I was born into, a society of Nigerians that we like enjoyment. We like party, we like women, we like all this type of things. These are things that we were born into. Now, the depth of what people are born into, we don't even know what they were introduced into as. So, if you can't understand somebody, how are you going to judge that person if you have not walked in their shoes? So this is another version of this division and this thing that is going on. And the solution is not always chastising. Sometimes we have to look at other ways to do it. I'm not saying this is my own solution is right. I'm only saying this is what I've exposed my own self to, and this is what I see. And one of the reasons why I said it's important for us to focus on what matters is because if we continue to focus on what matters, we're going to end up birthing leaders that are supposed to become these people that are what we're chastising and projecting all our anger and rage on. Because somebody needs to get there to lead us, right? If we want to live in a democratic society, a society whereby people represent a community in making decisions, people represent a community in advocating what is needed, gaps, understanding, collaboration rather than competition. We need leaders, empathetic leaders, to get there. And those leaders that need to get there with an open heart. Not criticizing, not judging, not tearing down, not becoming, because there's a little you can, this is very important, just hear this out. You have to be very careful the amount of dance you have with the evil, right? Not with the devil, with evil, before you become evil itself. Because the devil is not the problem. The devil is never the problem. Because the devil, quote unquote, according to the society, the devil has already been defeated. The challenge, if there's anything, is what we refer to as evil. How comfortable are you with evil? And when you say it, how comfortable are you with power? So in my last video, I said about this, that we don't know what it feels like. And this is even before this Epstein thing came out. I was saying that a lot of these people go there with good intentions to make a change, to lead. I don't know, possibly, but that's what they're selling. So you have to buy what they're saying. and they try to advocate for people to become leaders, governors, councillors, commissioners. But when they get there, something happens to them when they get there. And who they become is totally different from who they were when they got in. The golden question again, how did you get there? How did they get there? You understand? And if you reflect into our own personal life, my own personal life, who I was 20 years ago, the type of relationship that I had both as men, as women, is different from the type of relationship I'm currently having now and how I see myself. Because what I knew then is different from what I knew now. And this is just life. This has nothing to do with a leader that is governing people. From my life experiences, all those relationships, both good and bad, has shaped this guy that is talking here right now. Now imagine the leader that you put into that position to do this with this amount of power and this and that and that and that. And they are doing this, but everything around them is just speaking against what they are trying to do. Now, again, I'm not advocating for them. I'm just saying this, to me, is one step towards this direction. Compassion. If we end up putting everybody in prison, then who's going to be out? Who is going to be there? And you know, like in the Bible, Christian, they said, he without sin should cast the first stone. Everybody is a sinner, bro. Nobody is perfect. But the degree at which the crimes that you commit, yes, it's measurable, or it's definitely questionable. That's understandable. So now there's the journey now here that we are facing is, what are we going to do now? I can't even stay too long because of this video. Me, I'm an African, so this cold is not good for my system. But my goal is, what are you doing in your community as a leader for yourself or for what you stand for? And what is it that you're spending your time on? And what is your vision for yourself and for that community? Like, one of the reasons why I choose my battle by coming here is I still find parts of myself blaming, judging. But I truly know at the core of who I am, that's not what I want to do, but subconsciously it happens. But the awareness that is there is what gives me choose this battle of what is more important to me rather than here or that. So this episode is simply division, the illusion of unity. And self-worth. Because to be honest, in every way you dissect this whole thing, when you look left, you look right, if you dissect it in every different direction that you see, it all comes down to value. How much do you value yourself? How much self-worth do you have for yourself? That you put yourself in some type of situation, and this is how you see yourself to be in those type of dynamics, whether in a relationship, whether in a job, or whether even in a setting or societal setting. Like, how much do you value yourself, your worth? And this self-worth thing, just me, is deep. And as an African, somebody that was born in Africa, that is now living in the Western world, that is now talking to leaders and advocates, it's the grace of God that I'm able to find myself in this type of position. And I continue to pinch myself sometimes, which is good. That, is this really you doing this? And there sometimes I just can't believe that I'm the one doing this. Like seeing the vision of what I'm trying to birth, the projects. And I'm still hearing some noises of people that don't believe in what I'm trying to do based on how they saw me for who I was. And so some of these type of experiences are things that can drive people towards this side. You know what I'm saying? Some of those experiences can cause So for example, now I want to do a lot of projects. Part of my projects is to create a school, advocacy, nature, all of that. If you take this video and you go back to my place of birth in Lagos and show people that I grew up with and say, Lumi, say, who is this guy? This one has eaten. Oh, my battery is low. Hold on a second. They'll say my battery was low, so I gotta be quick. They'll say this one doesn't have any problem. Look at what he's talking about, and look at all the things that he has done. They'll criticize based on their experience, and that's some people. And some other people will look at it and say, oh wow, look at what he has become. Oh, he has embraced his potential and all of that. And you have to choose. If you believe that there's a choice, you have to choose between those two. What matters the most to you? And the worth of how you see yourself is going to tie into the choice that you make. And when you make that choice, that same word that you see yourself, to me personally, will continue to be challenged, even if you pick this option, which is to grow. Because the worth of where you were and how you were, that you no longer choose to be, that you are now with this part of it, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be human being. It's just the dynamics of life, of the past, is always going to come back at some point until you deal with it. And so the worth, which basically, so if you tie it into you can tie it into different belief systems. Like in Christianity, they say be born again. So when you die, you're repenting, you're born again. Jesus Christ has died. So this doesn't exist. So now you're here. But every sin that you commit, you ask for forgiveness, and all of that guilt and shame falls off, and then you go this way. That's the religious side of things, right? Now, when you go to other things like Buddhism and all of that, they have other ways that they navigate through this. They call it samsaras, right? And this one, they say, oh, you can either make sacrifices or you open your heart, forgive yourself. Everybody has different methodology for it. But the goal here is that this is what really matters the most. And it's not compulsory, but it's an option. And it's an option that can benefit the choice you make and also the community and the society around you. But if you decide to do this, which is to choose the negative, it's also an option. We can't criticize you for choosing that. What you are going to do is probably create the same type of, it's the same thing. If you create this, if you choose this side, now, and one thing, maybe I should drop this side a little bit and be balanced and talk more a little bit about this side, even though it's going to go against what I'm saying, but just to give more highlight on it. So if you decide to become dark or play evil or do anything, you are going to find people like you. You are going to find people that want to be around you. Find like-minded individuals that think evil is necessary and understand the importance of evil and why this type of thing is not important. So your goal when you pick this is to fight against this at all times. Bring this down anytime, which is what this is going to be standing for, basically. And to be honest, I don't think, from what I know, that these two can exist without each other. There has to be a balance. This is what I believe. So look at this tree, right? This is an example of this tree. You can see this tree, right? You can see the bark and the stem of this tree, and but you can't see the root. So the root that you cannot see is the part of this tree that started, and that's what the tree started from. But this is the part that you can see. And so some people may refer to that part of the tree as dark because it's in the dark. You can't see it. And then the Buddhist part is the one that you can see in the sun. But both cannot exist without each other. So I'll close it with that. So if you see trees that say they want to exist without evil, honor them and flourish with them. And if you see trees that say, I don't want to become a tree, I just want to become a root and I want to become evil, you honor that and respect that choice and let let it be. So I think that's pretty much it. Let me run back into my warmth. And again, thank you for watching. Like, share, and subscribe. And continue to pray, please. Let's continue to pray for peace in the world. Continue to have me in your prayers too for these things that I'm trying to achieve. And thank you once again. Take care. Bye.